So pre-patch comes out on Tuesday, for those of you who do not remember. I'm sorry if you hear any weird noises. Mara's rubbing her face on my microphone because she doesn't give a shit about anybody but herself.
4,
But pre-patch, patch
2,
8.0 is
1.
Tuesday, which is the pre-expansion patch. So all the major changes for Battle for Azeroth, minus the stuff that's actually locked to Battle for Azeroth, will be coming out. So that's going to be the patch that we officially retire our artifacts. Obviously, we started, and that's why all of our artifacts now are just constantly going up in artifact power, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen on Tuesday or if the quest is just going to continue on Tuesday and it will eventually lead to the explosion of our artifacts, but that's a thing that's happening. It looks like the Mage Tower is also going to be going away on Tuesday. We're also going to experience the burning of Teldrassil, the storyline from both the Horde and the Alliance standpoint. In-game it's called the War of Thorns. And that will be a several-week quest line, sort of like the Silithus quest line, where we get one every week or one every couple weeks to lead up to Battle for Azeroth, which Battle for Azeroth begins on August 14th, and I think August 6th is when the Battle for Lordaeron pre-expansion event will begin, but it will only work, that pre-expansion event on August 6th will only work if you already have Battle for Azeroth pre-ordered. They did finally release the deluxe version if you want to pre-order the collector's edition. It's available now. Also on Tuesday, you'll be able to transmog your artifact weapon appearances to non-artifact weapons, which is exciting. Although I think like the challenge appearances and some other ones are still locked to spec, which is stupid. I hate that. All loot is going to be personal loot, which, how do you feel about that, Nick?
I think I'm okay with it.
You can still trade it, right? Like, theoretically, if you wanted to trade, you just can't trade rerolled loot. So, like, the fact that you can still trade it makes me feel like I have zero problem with it whatsoever. I know that, like, a lot of, like, mythic, high-end, world-first type people don't like this change, but I think for
Wait, can I explain why?
Sure.
Can I explain why they don't like it?
Sure.
So, like, some high-end raiders don't like it because they're gaming the system.
Yes.
What they're doing is they go in, they clear a raid, they get the loot for their main characters, right? Then is, just say it's a 10-man raid, for instance, they sub out, you know, 4 or 5 of those characters and bring in 4 or 5 new characters.
Hold that thought, thought. Thank you, Blake, for the 1,200 stars. We missed you too. Thank you so much. Continue.
Thanks, Blake. So they sub out like half the raid, bring in new people. Then when loot drops for those new people, they then master loot it to the people who were in the first run, who've already gotten loot from the first run. So basically, they're gaming the system so that they can get 2 sets of loot from the same raid in the same week.
Yeah, it's called split running.
And yeah, and it's really I guess I don't care so much, but like I also don't think that they
well, I think
have
it
any
also
right to throw a fit when it was never intended to be done that way to begin with.
I think and I don't think that's why Blizzard did it. Like, I think that might be one of the reasons that Blizzard did it, but I think that for the average everyday WoW player, like who runs heroic or normal or even LFR, I think that loot can really ruin the vibe of a guild. I think that, like, arguments over loot have broken up guilds before, and, like, they'll continue to break up guilds, and I think that taking that out of the game is... I like it. I think there's still going to be guilds where people insist on people master looting all of the personal loot, and those are going to be the people that find this change the most annoying. But Nick and I have always been fans of pure RNG. Like, as much as it kind of sucks, it also takes a lot of the cattiness out of looting.
Yep.
And like,
I've always thought I will kind of miss rolling for loot. Like, part of me will still miss that because it's like, you know, like people roll and then you roll last and like you get really excited when you roll like a 90 something and you win the loot.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm a little bit sad that is gonna go away, but at the same time, I think it is the most fair way that loot can be handled.
And I think most people like are decent enough where if they get something that's not a big upgrade for them but it's a huge upgrade for someone else, like in our guild at least, I know that most people in that situation would be more than willing to pass the loot to someone else. But I like that it will be up to that person's choice. Like I would rather it be RNG and feel like, oh, Blizzard is so unfair, than like it be guild and feel like, oh, my loot master is so unfair.
Otto, thank you so much for the 795 stars.
I like shifting the blame, I guess, because I'm the loot master. So there's a lot of times when I have to make a call that I'm like, hey, that's only a 5 item level upgrade for you. It's a 25 item level upgrade. Do you mind passing it? Like, I would rather that conversation take place between those two people than me have to mediate it. And like, so I'm personally really happy about the personal loot change. I range from it doesn't affect me to I don't care, which I think is great. There's also an item level and stat squish change coming in 8.0, which happens on Tuesday. So your big, huge DPS numbers and your big, huge item level numbers are going to be a lot smaller. There's going to be individual buttons for Druid travel forms. Silly, but if you're a Druid, you're probably excited about it. I'm
very excited about it. That means that you can keybind each form separately. It's amazing.
There have been changes to some of the strongest race, some of the strongest racials. So Arcane Torrent got nerfed. Every man for himself got a longer cooldown. Most class cooldowns have been added to the global cooldown if they weren't on the global cooldown before. Melee abilities will now scale with both your attack power and your... I just kind of burped in the middle of that, I'm sorry. With both your attack power and your weapon damage, which was what Nick was talking about on his Feral Druid that he thought was an exciting change. Do you want to talk a little more about that, Nick? It's the same thing with bleed and poison ticking with haste. So melee abilities will scale with your attack power and your weapon damage, and bleeds and poisons will now scale with haste.
Yeah, so and it's interesting for Feral Druids because the haste scaling, they're like one of the only classes who didn't already have that this expansion. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. And then the scaling abilities with attack power and weapon damage is also a big deal because for a lot of classes currently, it's basically like, you know, your stats and your secondary stats mean more than anything else. And weapons are good because they have a lot of stats on them, but they're basically making it so that weapon damage matters more. So you could potentially get a weapon with higher weapon damage and maybe some lower stats that still ends up being better.
Yeah.
But it gives more diversity in what's good and what's not in weapon, which is great because we're now going to be looting weapons again with artifacts being gone.
To loot weapons again. Another big change coming is that hunter pets are going to have specializations with different like utility and stuff like that on them once again to make hunters a little more interesting to play. Tank threat has been massively reduced to make tanking have some sort of, like right now, like nobody pulls threat off tanks ever. It never happens. It's not a thing that happens. And they're drastically reducing tank threat so that tanking will kind of be challenging again, which I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think that's a good change for higher end play, but I think it's a questionable change for lower end play. Obviously there's a ton of class changes. Definitely check out Wowhead if you want to see your class's specific class changes because it's huge. All of the PvP system changes in 8.0 will be happening on Tuesday. So that means War Mode, which if you aren't familiar at all, there will be no more PvP or PvE servers. All servers will just be normal, and then you'll go to a main city and you'll be able to toggle World PvP on or off using War Mode. And then you'll only be sharded with other War Mode players, so it'll make everybody who's doing World PvP is participating and has made the choice to do World PvP, so they're really removing the idea of ganking out of the game, unless you consider it like sneaking up on someone who wanted to participate in World PvP in the first place, which is what it always kind of should have been. So that's exciting.
Yeah, so it just... slow down for a sec.
I won't.
So if any of you guys don't know what sharding is, that's basically when the whole world is instanced. Mm-hmm. So like... it basically makes it so that when you turn War Mode on, you get sharded is the term that I don't really like, but it basically takes you into a cross realm where everyone is flagged for PvP. So you'll never be not flagged for PvP and running around questing and get killed by someone who wants to world PvP. That just won't happen anymore, even if you were on a formerly known as PvP server, because they don't exist anymore.
They don't exist anymore.
So that's really exciting. I think this is it's gonna bring a whole new level of excitement and fun to world PvP, because you're gonna it's gonna work like a battleground, right? So if for world PvP in a certain area, they'll put a bunch of players into the same instance of that area until they have an adequate amount where things are like exciting and fun and you actually see people. Whereas right now, even if you're on a PvP server, you go into some zones and it's just empty. There's no world PvP to be had, whether you want it to be there or not.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they're also changing all the PvP talents and the way that Prestige works. So in 8.0 and in Battle for Azeroth, obviously Prestige will be account-wide. So it won't just be like my Shaman's Prestige level. Like all of your Prestige and all of your PvP experience will be combined for a new type of experience or a new type of Prestige, which... it also means that we're going to get a new distribution of PvP talents, which I believe the first tier doesn't even need to be unlocked. I think that you just unlock more as you go through it, but I'm not an expert in PvP stuff,
so
so
PvP talents are interesting. So you get like all the same PvP talents are available, but now it's like you get one major one at the top, which is basically your trinket, your insignia or whatever that'll remove crowd control.
Yeah.
So that you get one talent that's like that. There's like 3 different options, but they're all remove crowd control from yourself one way or another.
Yeah.
The other 3 PvP talents is basically a free-for-all. There's no longer, level 30, 45, 60, 75 talents for PvP.
Yeah, they're all in one
All
bucket.
of the other talents are in one bucket, and you get 3 slots, and you pick any 3 you want. So that's cool because you're going to get new honor talent combinations that you couldn't get on the live patch.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. So on top of all of those changes, the guild system the guild interface has also gotten a revamp, and there'll be a lot more information, plus the new community features coming out on Tuesday, which basically allows you to have, I don't want to say an additional guild because that's a little misleading, but essentially like I'll be able to be in my guild, and also I could be in like a Beast Mastery Hunter community, or maybe I could be in a ranged DPS community, or I could be in a Panda community. You know what I mean? Like you can be in separate like groups of like-minded players on top of being in your actual guild, which should improve the community of World of Warcraft as a whole. There's also going to be a bunch of collection updates, so a bunch of pets, mounts, world creatures are getting visual upgrades, plus they're adding new achievements for how many pets and how many mounts you have, and they're making a new currency for pets and pet battling. There's also going to be character customization options that weren't previously available, so orcs will be able to stand upright. I do feel like this is a good time to mention that trolls are not going to be able to stand upright. All types of orcs, whether it's a regular orc or a Mag'har orc, will be able to stand vertically the way Thrall does, but trolls, only Zandalari trolls will be able to stand upright. All other trolls are going to be hunched. That's just the way it is. Also in 8.0, Blood Elves will be able to go to the barbershop and change their eyes to be gold if they prefer, and you'll also be able to change... I want to say maybe there's something in the barbershop you couldn't change before that you'll be able to change now, and I feel like it was maybe skin color. Could you not change your skin color before? I can't remember. It's not a big deal, but all of that is coming in the 8.0 pre-patch on Tuesday, so it's a lot. It's going to be a huge and exciting patch.
One of the things that we kind of glazed over was that like guild and community UI. I have often several expansions thought to myself that like I wanted to do more PvP, I wanted to get into rated battlegrounds, I wanted to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
and our guild doesn't PvP
so
at all.
hard to do that if your guild doesn't do it, and you basically need to join a PvP focused guild, and I didn't want to leave my guild.
Yeah.
So the whole community UI is gonna be awesome for so many players.
I didn't even think of the PvP aspect of that.
It's going to open up different options to play with people in this community-based game where you couldn't do without leaving your guild before, which a lot of people don't want to do because it's real-life friends in their guild.
Yeah. Well, and then, like, if you go to a PvP guild, maybe you won't be able to raid. Like...
Exactly. PvP guilds often don't raid and vice versa. So the community groups and joining things that way is going to be absolutely huge. And it's
Yeah.
going to be so fun because it's not just going to be like PvP and raids and stuff. Like there'll be pet battle groups, and I'm sure some communities are going to hold like pet battle tournaments, like
Transmog
the
tournaments.
transmog tournament, like the actual like options that can happen through these community groups are endless because people come up with new ideas to do new cool fun stuff all the time, and that's really like where those ideas are going to be shared going forward.
Yeah.
And like I really hope that they don't put I hope they don't put caps on the member on how many people can be in each group that are really small. Like I understand if there needs to be caps for some system limits or whatever. I just hope they're not stupid small, like a couple hundred. Like
Yeah.
I really hope that, you know, you can get a good like thousands of people in a community where there's always a couple hundred online.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sorry. I just got excited. Go ahead. Finish.
that just so that, you know, there's always a couple hundred online that are available to participate in whatever the group is there for.
Yeah, for sure. So another thing that is worth mentioning is that on Tuesday, you'll be able to use your Awakening Essences to purchase specific legendaries.
Ugh!
Which, it's the end of the expansion. It doesn't really matter, but if you felt
It's
like...
amazing.
I don't know, if there's anything you wanted to get for the appearance or whatever, like that will be available on Tuesday. And back to the pet battle thing, they're changing the way that pet battle charms are work in general. So it's a good idea to spend what you have now. If you have a bunch of pet charms, save up the rest that you need and spend them because they're not going to be the same type of currency in the new expansions. There's no point in stockpiling them. But I'm excited because there'll be a new achievement for 800 pets, which right now I have 886. So I'm totally gonna get a new pet the day of. And then also there's a Master of Minions where you get the Hearthstone Elemental for collecting 1,000 unique pets. And again, I'm not that far away, so I've been asking for this since Mists of Pandaria. So I'm super excited that.
Yeah, what was the last
600.
What was the last one?
600. Yeah, and I'm pretty
And
sure
you're
that
at
was
almost
added in Mists of
900.
Pandaria, and I'm at almost 900. And I've given up on collecting because that's how like long it's been. Ooh, grats to the person in group who just got a legendary.
Oh, crap!
What?
Did you go turn it in?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, good.
yeah, and I got summoned back.
Great. Good job.
Thanks. It says I don't meet the requirements to loot the item though. Oh, because I already have
It
it.
just means you already got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm in a hearth again. This is very exciting. Well, that was a good talk about 8.0. What are you specifically excited about for 8.0, Nico?
I'm really excited to try war mode. I'm totally gonna go just do some world PvP.
I'm
gonna turn on
excited.
war mode.
I'm excited
and
that World
go
PvP will be something you can turn on and off. Because there are
kill some
times when I'm like
people.
super into it, like, yeah, let's go wreck people, yeah, but like it's not something that I want to do all the time. Like, so I'm really excited that it's turning on and off. And to Katie in
Yeah.
chat, yes, the talent and class changes are coming on Tuesday. I'm not going to go over all of them on this stream because it's a lot, but Wowhead has all of the information about that. And if you happen to be watching this after the fact, I'll have it linked in the info so that it's easy peasy for you.
Yeah. Also, one of the things we didn't mention, I think what David in chat did mention it, was that when you have war mode enabled, you're gonna get bonus experience for both mobs killed and quests completed.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, bonus
you know, a little bit of
experience.
incentive to play.
I don't
on
know that I'm gonna level
mode.
up with war mode on though. I don't want to like get. Maybe I will for a little bit. But what's nice is I guess if you're getting wrecked, you can always go shut it off. Like you can always, you know what I mean? Like you can always start it while you're leveling up, and then like if it's not going well, you're not stuck. Right?
Right.
So I'm
Yep,
excited.
And DirectX 12, that's also a that's cool for a number
Yeah, but I
of
think
reasons.
DirectX 12 is coming in Battle for Azeroth, not pre-patch.
Oh, okay.
Can't just name things you see in chat, Nico. Fake news. Fake news. Because I'm pretty sure that's coming with all of the new system requirements, and the system requirements are tied to the expansion, not the pre-patch. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong, though. All right, handing this in. Bam. Bam. Accept. Travel to the Lunar Crucible. Where the fuck is that? Okay, it's up there. Are you doing this same quest right now, Nick?
Of course. But
Yep.
the entire stronghold is still crawling with night.
Dope. Gonna get that balance of power. Gonna get that balance of power. Aren't you gonna ask me what I'm most excited for in 8.0?
So you, yeah. What are you most excited?
What were you gonna say?
You will be able to manually enable DX12 in with the pre-pat.
Good. Everybody cares so deeply. I'm glad you Googled that.
Well, the reason that I was gonna say that was cool is because of people with high core processors like yours, because DirectX 12 can support more CPU threads than DX11.
Cool.
So what are you most excited about?
My new pet that I'm gonna get the day of, and then my second pet that I'm gonna get when BFA launches. I don't think there's enough pets in game currently for me to get actually 1,000 unique ones before the expansion comes out, because I'm pretty sure of what's available, I'm only missing like 5. Unless you went into like promotional stuff that's old and would cost me literally thousands of dollars. But I'm really excited that there's new pet achievements for collecting, because I've been collecting pets for a wicked long time, and it's happening. It's finally happening. So I'm really excited about that. And the little guy that you get for 800 is super cute. He's like a little like mechanical groundhog. He's cute.
That's awesome.
But anyways, that's all happening on July 17th, this Tuesday. Super excited.